And it was just another day, yeah.
Just another day.
Until I went to the movies, and now it's a movie Tuesday. A movie Tuesday. Until a movie Tuesday.
Yellow, and welcome to Movie Chewsday. It's a video series slash audio series where I talk about the news of movies, the trailers of movies, and the movies of movies. Spoiler-free reviews is what I mean by that. I'm a little rusty. It's been a while. Which brings us to my whole apologies for the long wait. The technological gods had it out for me the past couple weeks, and they have it out for me right now. And I say technological gods because let me just give you a little short story of what's been happening over the past couple weeks. So my computer is pretty old. It's like 4, maybe even 5 years old, right? And it's a laptop. And I've been using it so much since I bought it. Just nonstop Adobe programming, surfing the web, and playing some games here and there, but mostly just Adobe stuff, making videos specifically, as well as doing pictures and logos and everything like that. And I've been doing that for about 4 years, maybe 5 years tops, right? So my computer started acting up. It was acting up during the time I was putting episode 30 together. It's just running real slow. It was taking forever to boot up and all this other stuff, And right after I posted the video version of episode 30, the computer just started wigging out, man. It was taking forever to load up when I would turn it on. And then there was all these error messages about fixing the disk and all this other shit and everything. And I thought, I didn't know what was wrong with it, but I wasn't surprised that it was acting up because the computer is old, okay? It's pretty old. Been putting it through the ringer. Every time I put a video together, you can just kind of see it huffing and puffing. We're just I'm like, good job, Sasha. That's the name of my laptop. I'm like, good job, Sasha. You got another video done. And she's just like, no problem. Oh my God, I can't breathe, And then we're on to the next video. So it's just been nonstop, So it wasn't a surprise that the computer was starting to act up on me. So I just chalked it up to that. Chalked it up to old age, right? So, episode 30 was pretty successful for me. I was happy I finally got to it. It went pretty much the way I wanted it to go. And I figure, maybe now's a good time to just take a break, while I, get a new computer. And, so I was about to do that. I was about to kick up my feet, chill out a little bit. I put the tweet out on @the_Chewels on Twitter. And I was saying how I was having technical problems and everything. And Movie Tuesday may be going on hiatus for a while until I can get shit figured out. And it suddenly struck me. And I was like, I have another computer. It's my cell phone, They have the mobile versions of Adobe Photoshop on the cell phone. So I was like, I wonder if they have Premiere, because they have all kinds of video editing apps on there, right? So lo and behold, they have the app, and I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna fucking do this ghetto ass Movie Tuesday. I'm gonna record it all on my phone. I'm gonna put it all together on my phone. I'm gonna have it encoded and everything. I had another app to convert the video and audio. I was like, we're back, baby. We're back. We ain't taking no breaks. No breaks. Train doesn't stop. Walter White style, right? So I get all jazzed up, and I'm like, all right, because it was pretty late at night. I'm like, all right. Next, tomorrow, after I get off work, fucking back to business. Movie Tuesday, cell phone edition. So during that night, the technological gods rained down on me, and I woke up that morning to my phone just flipping out. The phone was literally restarting over and over again, right? And I did all the tricks of the trade. I did the hard reset. I kept turning it on and off, and it just would not stop restarting. So my phone was out, and that was when I realized either somebody has hacked my shit and they're just fucking with me, or it's the technological gods. And I think it's the gods fucking with me, because if someone had hacked me, I figured that they would get everything electronic that I fuck with. So like they get my game systems, they get my portable game systems, they get my TVs and all this other shit, you know, they get my cable, all that, you know. Maybe they just haven't gotten around to it, but I blame it on the technological gods. You know, they were laughing at me. They were like, you thought you had the answers, but you don't. And I was like, fuck, man. So, yeah. So, long story. That should have been short. I apologize for a long wait. And you need to enjoy these as much as you can right now. Because, like I said, I'm definitely about to start looking into getting a new computer. Instead of getting another laptop, I want to get a desktop. So, you know, I got my tech guy on that right now. So hopefully in like the next couple months, I can get that situated, because desktops are not cheap, because I need something that runs Adobe, you know what I'm saying? And that requires some beefy PCing. All right. But, yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to get at, is that, you know, any day could be the day where Movie Chewsday just doesn't happen for like a while until I get all my shit back together. All right. So just enjoy it while you can. Moving on to the next piece of the intro. I want to thank everyone who either watched or listened to episode 30 of Movie Chewsday. You know, that shit was fucking, it was damn near 2 hours. You know, that was a long ass video. I did not expect it to be that long, but you know, there's a lot of stuff that I had to get through. There's a lot of things that I wanted to do. It was a celebration, so I regret nothing. I was highly exhausted after it, but I still felt good regardless. So, and speaking of episode 30, the contest that I had started is still going on. I've been checking the Twitters. I've been checking the Instagrams. I've been checking I haven't checked the Snapchat because I don't know how to check that, but I haven't seen anything on the social medias, or I haven't gotten any kind of emails or text messages or calls of people like saying, hey, these were the 3 movies that you reenacted. Where's my shit? Oh yeah, I reposted it as well. Like, here's proof. Like, I didn't get any of that. So the contest is still going on, and it's going on for as long as it takes for somebody to come to me and be like, bam, bam, bam. Here's this. Here's a proof. Give me my shit. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to chalk it up to like either y'all didn't watch the whole video, or y'all didn't listen to the whole like audio version, or you probably just don't give a shit, or my movie reenactments were so deep with the cuts that you just could not figure out where they were from. That's what I'm going to go with. Okay. Even though one of them was pretty easy. The last one, it was the last one. That one's pretty easy to get. So, but yeah, that's what I'm going to chalk it up to. But I kind of had a feeling that was going to happen. So I'm not like butthurt or anything. I mean, you guys have saved me money from having to like ship out the prize, which will go into my desktop funds. So there you go. You're just doing me a favor by not, doing the whole contest thing. So anyway, enough of that. Once again, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for giving me a time of day to listen to me ramble on about movies and all kind of other shit that I like. Now, let us get to the news of the show. Fair warning, news is a little bit beefy just because, and it's kind of old, but this is some stuff that caught my eye over the weeks, and I wanted to get off my chest if I had a chance to get on camera and get in front of the microphone to like talk about it. So you gotta just like go with it, okay? Hopefully next week we'll be a little bit more up to date. Right now, D23 happened, Comic-Con's going on right now, and I think some other shit happened as well, and there's lots of news popping out about that, but we'll get to all that shit next week, so we'll be forever behind the curve here. That's how it goes over here in the Movie Chewsday offices. So anyway, on to the news. Starting off on a real, down note, we lost some people in Hollywood. R.I.P. to Nelsan Ellis. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Nelsan because there's an A and not an O. So maybe there's just like a cool way that they spell Nelson, but I'm going to just say Nelsan. So kind of sounds right, but I apologize to his friends and family if I'm pronouncing his name wrong. My bad. But rest in peace to Nelsan Ellis. He's 39 years old, and he passed away from heart failure complications. So some crazy shit. I don't know what's going on there. But for those who don't know who he is, he's been in a couple movies, but he's been in a lot of TV shows. The only show that I know him from, which I want to say, I don't know if it was his debut, but it was I think it was definitely like his breakout role, was True Blood. He was in True Blood. He played Lafayette. He was the what was he, a bartender? Yeah, he was a bartender. He was badass, dude. Like I know that there's been gay characters in like TV shows before, but it's very rare that a gay character can be taken seriously, you know, to where they're part of the crew and they're not just like the butt end of a joke. There's like a lot of shows that used to do that back in the days of True Blood or before True Blood came along. There's a lot of shows where they always have like that one gay character and they would just be like really flamboyant, you know, like snapping their fingers and shit, like all the time. And I always felt like it was like the butt end of a joke. It was just like low hanging fruit, you know what I mean? But this is one of the first like gay characters that I had seen that I was legit like into. Like I liked the portrayal of the character in the show. The only other gay character that I really liked in the show that I thought was like handled really well was Carter in Spin City. Like that was another character that was gay or homosexual, however you want to say it, that was handled like really well. And this show did a really good job with the Lafayette character. I don't want to give anything away just in case you've never seen True Blood. I mean, I would say, you know, to pay homage to Nelsan Ellis, I'd say check out True Blood so you can see like how dope he was in that show, because like I said, he was a complete badass. The only problem is I think True Blood did like 7 or 8 seasons, and the show kind of starts to fall off in the 4th season. Like I think like the 4th season on, it kind of just goes downhill. So be warned with that. He's in. Oh shit. Well, I don't want to give too much away, but I would recommend, if you watch True Blood, I would say go start with season 1, obviously, and then watch season 4, and then just stop, because like I said, the show just takes a dive, and his character takes a dive as well. I didn't too much care for the 4th season, but the one thing I did like was that he played a bigger part in that season than he did in the previous ones. In seasons 1 through 3, he is more of like a side character. Like he's reoccurring, but he's more of like to the side of all the other main characters. But in 4, he actually has a big role, like more of a bigger role in season 4. But season 4 isn't that great overall with where they took the show. And then, you know, and onward, like seasons 5 and however many they did to the end, his character kind of just like takes a huge backseat to where like I don't even think they barely show him. Like he pops up here and there, but for the most part, like he kind of just he's not in the picture as much as he was in the first 4 seasons of the show. So I would say if you ever watch True Blood, go in knowing that, and go in knowing that the main character Suki is annoying as fuck, and you will probably hate her as much as I did. As much as I love Anna Paquin, I really hate the fucking character Suki. I don't blame Anna Paquin. I just blame the way the character was written. And I don't know if that's how the character was in the books or not, but the character's a fucking idiot. It's really hard to watch with her as the main lead of the show, but whatever. Pay some tribute to my boy, and yeah. So RIP once again to Nelsan Ellis. I'm sorry for your loss to his friends and family. He will be missed by me specifically because I feel like he had a really huge career ahead of him. Like he was a phenomenal actor. So yeah. Sticking with lost another person in Hollywood, and he goes by the name of George A. Romero. He died at age 77. passed away from lung cancer. So lung cancer strikes again. Can't remember who else died from like lung cancer and shit, but fucking cancer is a fucking bitch. Can't stand it. But he passed away recently. For those who don't know who he is, let's just put it like this. If you like The Walking Dead or just any type of zombie movie or TV show that's on nowadays, or if you just like the whole zombie tropes and culture that's happening right now that's been way overused, you need to thank my boy George A. Romero, because I don't think he like pioneered it or anything. I don't think he was like the first one to do it, but I think he was the one that like really started that whole setting of it's post-apocalyptic, the world is ended, it's crowded with zombies, and here's a group of people that are stuck in like a fucking supermarket trying to survive the next day. And they got to deal with the zombies outside, and they got to deal with the people inside going crazy and doing crazy shit and going against their humanity and their codes and everything, and making new laws of the world to survive and all this other shit, walking around scavenging and everything like that. He was the one that like pretty much got that ball rolling. Okay. And as much as I am so tired and fatigued on the whole zombie thing that's happening nowadays, it's not that I don't like zombies. It's just that it's getting old and it's getting tired, and it's time to move on to the next monster, or go back and get the old monsters like vampires and bring them back into the forefront. I don't know, but I'm getting tired of it. But at the same time, I still liked it. I did not see all of George A. Romero's movies. I've only seen a couple of them. I think I watched Night of the Living Dead, I watched Dawn of the Dead, and I watched Land of the Dead, which was kind of weird. Like his movies got weirder as they or more weird as they progressed, because the zombies went from being mindless, like walking pieces of dead flesh, to being like to where they like pretty much regained their humanity again, or like themselves, to where like they weren't just walking around like they actually like got personalities, or like not necessarily their old personalities before they became zombies, but they like developed a new personality as zombies, where they were like smart and shit, and they were conniving and everything. They weren't just like walking around and shuffling everywhere, and they weren't just sprinting down the street to like gnaw somebody. They would like come up with plans to overthrow cities and shit like that. It just got real weird. Okay. And it was hard for me to follow, but I still like the movies that I watched before Land of the Dead, which was Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. Here's a fun fact. Night of the Living Dead is the very first movie that scared the shit out of me. And it is pretty much the movie that I base a lot of like scary movies off of, where it's like, when I go see a scary movie, I want to be scared, dude. I want to be freaked out. I want to like go to bed at night and like turn a nightlight on or some shit like that. Or not a nightlight. Nightlights are bullshit, but you know, it's where I don't want to sleep alone. That's only happened like a few times with like just of all my years of movies. That's only happened a few times where I've been like that fucking scared. But I still remember watching Night of the Living Dead with my family, my brothers, my sister, my mom, and my dad, like us sitting there watching it, and just all the shit that played out and how that was carried out in that movie just like scared the shit out of me, to the point where like I went to bed and I could not sleep. There was like way too many sounds going on at night, you know. It was like pitch black. I couldn't really see anything, and I had to get up and like go to my mom and my dad and them and just be like, dude, like I can't sleep. Like I need to sleep in one of y'all's rooms. I can't sleep alone right now. I really think something's under my bed. You know, like I was freaked out. I still remember it because like my brothers were messing with me. They were making fun of me and everything. My mom was all worried. She was like, oh, you know, this is why I didn't want you to watch those type of movies. You're too young for that. Like it was crazy. I was traumatized. All right. But like that molded over time, and now I've become the man you see today, where it's like I'm trying to see the scariest shit. I'm trying to get the shit scared out of me on the daily. I'm trying to get that high again, all right? But yeah, but man, it's like it's clear as day when that shit happened. And then like you know, I didn't get to go and sleep with anybody that night. Like my mom made me go back to my room, and then she turned on a nightlight. Nightlights are fucking bullshit. I don't know why they were a thing. Nightlights make things worse. It's like you have this little light in your room, and then everything else is like casting this big ass shadow over everything in your room. So like everything looks a hell of a lot more scarier than it did when it was just pitch black. Okay, and that's why I can't stand nightlights now. The closest I get to a nightlight is the TV. I'm one of those people where I have to have a TV on to help me go to sleep at night, because I just like that, like the whole light illuminating the entire room. It still does like the scary shit from here and there with the dark shadows and everything around, but it's like I'm a grown ass man now, so I'm not like too scared. But every now and then I get a little freaked out about some stuff. I'll see like something standing in the corner and I realize it was just fucking a hanger or some shit, or a jewelry closet. But yeah, man, like it was crazy. Oh man. But yeah, fuck nightlights. Fuck it. I can go to sleep without a TV. It just takes a lot longer, but I generally like to have the TV on when I go to sleep. So the TVs are my nightlights, but a nightlight, fuck that shit. It's bullshit. Okay. But anyway, you know, you all go out there and watch your zombie shows or zombie movies and pay tribute to my boy, George A. Romero. You got a lot of tributes to be paying after this, you know, that's your homework. So anyway, moving on from the dour news, you know, let's bring everybody's spirits back up a little bit. Starting over at Screen Rant. So, F. Gary Gray, who is the director for Fate of the Furious, the latest Fast and Furious movie, he had came out and responded to the comments or the accusations that Michelle Rodriguez had made a while back, where she was saying that she might have to walk away from the Fast and Furious franchise, and you know, if they don't start showing some love to the ladies, right? So he was doing like some interview. I don't know if he was promoting like the movie coming out on video or what, but like somebody like questioned him on it, and they were like, oh, you know, what do you think about her, you know, walking away from the franchise? You know, why ain't you, you know, what do you think about her statements about, you know, the ladies not getting any love in Fast and Furious, right? So he came out and he was just like, yo, man, I can't speak for all the other movies before mine. He's like, I can only talk about my movie. And in my movie, I have a strong female antagonist. Not only is she strong, she's the first female antagonist in the Fast and Furious franchise. And then he's like, I got another strong female side antagonist well, I don't want to give away too much, but he's like, there was another character in that movie who was like a strong female presence, and they all did good in my opinion, and they got like, you know, some good raves from critics and everybody and moviegoers. So he was like, I can't talk about like my movie, or he's like, I can't talk about the previous movies, but I can talk about my movie. And it's like, my movie's got plenty of love for the ladies. So he's like, so I don't know what she's talking about, but he was like, he just wishes her the best. He hopes that like she can get something worked out with whatever issue she's having with that franchise. But he said, leave my movie out of it. You know, he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So anyway, that was how he came back with it. You know, not being disrespectful or anything like that. Don't take my tone the wrong way, but you know, it's just the way I interpreted it. But this is why back in episode 30, I was saying that with the statements that she was making, or with the remarks that she was making, I feel like she was talking about herself and not about the ladies as a whole in the Fast and Furious franchise. Because I do agree with the director, where he was like, yeah, dude, he's like, I got the first female antagonist in the movie, I got another female running around in there, and they did really good jobs. And I was like, he's right. You know, he did kind of like break the mold by like, you know, shaking things up a little bit with Charlize Theron and Helen Mirren, right? So I definitely agree with him, where he's like, he did take steps to show the ladies some love in that franchise. But I feel like where he did kind of drop the ball was with Michelle Rodriguez's character Letty, because when Dom turns and goes to the dark side, you would figure that leadership would transfer over to Letty, Michelle Rodriguez's character. but it does kind of shift more over to The Rock's Agent Hobbs character, where he kind of like takes over like leading the team. Like when he's not leading the team, everybody is like just kind of like they're still a team, but they don't really establish a leader. Like I think there's even some remarks made where I think like Tyrese was like, yeah, you know, since Dom's out, you know, I guess y'all, I'm gonna take the lead now. Y'all gotta listen to me. You know what I mean? But like you'd figure in that situation that Michelle Rodriguez's character would take the lead, but she was still like that kind of side piece where she was worried about Dom and trying to see like why he betrayed them and stuff like that. But she didn't like really take the reins over. She still had like her scenes here and there where she's got to get like her good fight scenes in and shit like that. But for the most part, she is just arm candy for Toretto. And I do feel like she needs a little bit more respect as far as like that franchise goes. So I do hope that something can get worked out with her. I did say like back in episode 30 that there are some things that they can do with her character to kind of like put her out in the forefront that could fit with the overall story of what's happening so far. And I don't want to get too deep into it because I don't want to like spoil anything for Fate of the Furious just in case no one's seen it yet. But there's definitely some things that they can do. Gal Gadot's character Giselle, she is dead, but they can bring her back. You know, they could do because there's some things that happen in Fate of the Furious that directly affects Gal Gadot's Gal Gadot. Is it Gal Gadot or is it Gal Gadot? It's Gal Gadot. There's things that affect her character where like they could bring her back and she could have a chip on her shoulder. And there's things that happened in Fate of the Furious that affect Letty's character as well. And if they wanted to, like, they could get like a kind of Civil War thing going on where like they don't necessarily break away from, like, they don't necessarily go against the team, but they do kind of like break away from them, like to where they could just have different views on how to handle the situation. And then you also have what's that chick's name? The hacker. Ramsey. You also have Ramsey in there where she's a part of the team, but when, you know, in Fate of the Furious, when Dom went over to the dark side, she was kind of like, you know, I mean, I know she was new to the team, but she was just kind of like, well, Dom's evil, guys. I guess we got to go and fucking kill him or go and stop him and bring him to justice and shit. And everybody was kind of like, whoa, like, this guy's been the leader of our team for a while now. You need to fucking step back and slow your roll a little bit. You just got here, you know? So, like, they could get something to incorporate her. Basically, what I'm saying is they can do, like, a Battle of the Sexes type story where, like, they kind of clash head-to-head with some things. So, but we'll just have to see how that pans out because I do feel like her character, Letty, is kind of she's been getting the shaft a little bit, you know? They even, like, killed her off in one of the movies, but they brought her back, obviously, which is why I'm saying they could bring Gal Gadot's character back if they wanted to. So that's all I'm trying to say, you know, because I think, like, what was it? Like, I'd say the first three, no, let's say four. I'd say the first three Fast and Furious movies, I feel like, well, not the third one, but the first two focus more on Brian O'Connor, that character, Paul Walker's character. It focused more on him. 3 was just over in fucking Tokyo, so that, like, I mean, it's kind of some stuff that leaks over to the other movies, but for the most part, like, that was a completely different thing. But it was still like a male protagonist in that movie, and the female support character was still just like arm candy and shit. And then, like, in Fast and Furious 4, it kind of, like, shifted back over to Brian, but you could still see it kind of shifting more towards Toretto's character being the lead. And then by 5, it kind of does that little juggle again where they're kind of, like, going back and forth, but it's more leaning towards Toretto's territory where it's starting to become his movie now. And then in 6, it's just all about Toretto. You know what I mean? And then, like, in 8, when Toretto, like, kind of takes a back seat, it's like that's when they should have shifted towards Letty's character. So I'm with F. Gary Gray, dude. Like, you know, leave his movie out of this whole debacle. But there does need to be some kind of justice shown for Michelle Rodriguez's character. And, you know, I agree. Like, I hope everything works out for her. I hope they can work out something. So yeah, I'm sure they will. Anyway, courtesy of Screen Crush, there was a photo that was posted. I can't remember if it was the movie studio that did it or if it was Tom Cruise or whatever, but there was a photo posted for the latest Mission Impossible movie, which I think is currently just titled Mission Impossible 6. And in the photo, they posted the photo and they were announcing that they finished filming and they're going to start like editing and, you know, doing post-production shit to get the movie ready to release. I think it releases probably next year if they just finish filming. So, but I don't know. But anyway, they posted the photo, and in the photo you got Ving Rhames, whose character's name I cannot remember. I want to say it's Luther, but it might be Victor. I can't remember. Maybe it's, I don't know. Ving Rhames' character's in it, so he's back. Tom Cruise is in it, of course, as Ethan Hunt, obviously. And Simon Pegg is in it as Benji. I remember that name because Benji is a cool name. So he's in it. And there's another person that's in it who's not a part, or who wasn't part of the Mission Impossible crew until recently. And that person is Rebecca Ferguson. And that brings joy to my heart that she's in the movie again. If you did not see Mission Impossible, was it Rogue Nation, you need to go check that out. She was in that movie, and I thought like she was just, you know, like not necessarily the Bond girl, but you know, they usually like interject like new characters in each movie usually. And I thought she was just gonna be a character that showed up in 5 and you just never see her again. But she is in this movie. And with her being in the picture with them, I'm assuming that she is now a part of that crew in the Mission Impossible series. And that is awesome because she was definitely my favorite part in Mission Impossible 5. She was just a badass character. I mean, you know, nowadays everybody's like beating the fucking stones about strong female characters and shit like that and how they're coming into the forefront. And this chick is definitely one to get excited for because she really impressed me in the last Mission Impossible movie. And I was not expecting her to show up again, and I'm glad that she is. So they finished filming. She's back in it, of course. The director is back in it as well. His name is Christopher McQuarrie. I don't really know his work, but he did the last Mission Impossible movie, Rogue Nation. And I don't know, dude. I feel like for the longest, my favorite Mission Impossible movie was always the first one, just because it was before it got like all super crazy and everything. And I feel like as the movies progress in the series, they just keep getting more and more outrageous with the action to where it's almost like you're watching a cartoon. And it kind of came to a head in Mission Impossible 4. I think that was Ghost Protocol, where it was like just watching a live action cartoon. Rogue Nation was kind of like that, but I like the action that they did in that movie, and I like the story and everything. It was really good, and I feel like Rogue Nation has now become my favorite Mission Impossible movie, and I want to say that Rebecca Ferguson was the reason why. I really like the way her character was portrayed in that movie. So I'm looking forward to seeing her some more in this one. Now, with the director coming back to direct this movie and writing stuff the same way he did the last movie, it kind of has me a little bit worried because I immediately think back to Sam Mendes when he did Skyfall in the James Bond franchise, and then he came back and did Spectre. And I went into Spectre like thinking that it was going to be even better than what he did in Skyfall, and I wasn't too happy with how that movie was done, the Spectre movie. So it kind of reminds me of this whole situation with Mission Impossible 6, where the director is back and he's writing everything, and he's pretty much got the crew back from the last movie. So I feel like he's gonna try and do the whole strike lightning twice thing. So hopefully he doesn't fall into that trap, and he just kind of like treats it like any other movie that is just like, this is just a continuation or just a new adventure for this crew to get into, and new situations for them to like fumble their way through. So I'm a little worried, but I still am excited that he's going to be bringing Rebecca Ferguson's character back. So really looking forward to that. Anywho, I did say that was from Screen Crush, right? Pretty sure I did. I don't know, because we're kind of jumping back and forth here from Screen Rant to Screen Crush, and there's all kind of screens and everything, so I'm getting kind of confused on what's coming from what. But I'm pretty sure I said that was from Screen Crush. If I didn't, that's now the third time I've said it, so there you go. Moving on to the next bit of news. All right, so going back to Screen Rant, there was this article that this woman wrote. Her name is Kate Gardner. You need to go check it out, okay? I think the title of her article was there are too many cinematic universes in movies now. And I thought it was a good article, so I wanted to give her a shout out for that. I really appreciate it. She pretty much hits like the same kind of things that I've said in the past, and that now James Mangold has said recently, the director of Logan. And now she's coming out and writing this article, and that's why I wanted to kind of just go over a little bit again. She hits the same thing though, where she was saying that the concept of the cinematic universe is starting to like oversaturate the market, because now it seems like everybody is starting to do it, right? And one of the things that she said that I really agreed with was how there are cinematic universes that are being made or that are in development that nobody really asked for. Okay. Like, and I gotta agree with that. Like, I think Marvel Studios, I'm pretty sure they were the first ones to like do the cinematic universe, the whole shared universe thing. And they're definitely the ones who have been the most successful at it. And everybody's kind of like copying them now, trying to like get into that pot that they're into, which is understandable from a business standpoint. I understand why you want to do that. That's job security for your writers and producers and whoever else is working on those movies. You get like, it is cool when done right. It is cool to have like that whole shared universe to where it's like you're watching a movie and a character from a different movie pops in, and you kind of know their whole backstory, you know what they've been through and stuff like that. You're able to get through a lot of story beats for characters in other movies, so that when you get to the whole climax of the movies, you kind of can just get straight into the action and not have to do all this backstory and explaining everything, like why everybody's there and stuff. So like, those are cool. And then the obvious good thing is that if successful, you can make a shitload of money off of it. That's great. But the cons of it is, like she said, and like I've said, the market's starting to get oversaturated. Now it's, we're going to look back like 10, 20 years from now and be like, remember when everybody was doing shared universes? Remember that bullshit? It's funny, right? It's getting to that point now. She was also saying how it's a really big burden for a lot of movies to have to kind of build the whole cinematic universe. So like recently with The Mummy, where it's like before that movie even came out, it was already being told that, Universal was going to make their whole dark universe, and how they were going to do all like the Draculas and the Frankensteins and stuff, and they were all going to be in this one big cinematic universe, right? So they got all these plans to make these movies, and The Mummy comes out and it doesn't do that well. It kind of bombs at the box office. So now you're kind of feeling like, okay, well, what's going to happen with the next couple of movies? What's going to happen now? So like, you do run into those kind of traps, and I feel like that's why a lot of these people just need to chill out with all this shared universe type shit, you know, because it's getting crazy. It's like you need to focus on one movie and then focus on the next movie and just take it one movie at a time instead of like doing all this like, well, this movie sets up this movie and this movie sets up that movie, and you know, we didn't explain this in this movie because we're gonna explain it in this movie that's like 3 years away. Like it's getting tired, it's getting old, it's getting exhausting, you know. I know Marvel's the most like, they're the most successful at doing it. Like they're kind of like making the blueprints for how to do all this shit, but even they have like stumbled along the way where it's like there are movies that come out and it's like this movie is more about trying to set up some movie down the road instead of just being about this character, you know what I mean? And it's getting tiring, you know. So you know, there's all that shit. The other problem is too, and I think I've said this before, is that yes, it has job security for the people involved with the project, but it also kind of like locks down creativity. You know, it kind of it pretty much kills creativity, because if someone has like a good story for like the character Moon Knight, right? And let's say, oh, I got this great story for Moon Knight, like here it is, and they read it over and they're like, yeah, this doesn't fit into what we're doing in our universe, so no, you can't do that. Or no, we're going to use this character in a later movie, so we don't want like your version coming in and gumming up the works and stuff like that. We already got this plan set in motion, so take your Moon Knight script and shove it. You know what I mean? It kind of sucks that they kind of lock people out, you know. And then like with Marvel, the other problem that Marvel's having too, that I've definitely said before, is that it's getting to be too much, and there needs to be like an end date for these for this shared universe that they're doing, you know, because it's going long in the tooth. It's getting to the point now where it's like, I get it, guys, you're setting up for Thanos and it's still like a year or two away. It's like, can we please just fucking get to it already, or spread out and just do whatever, you know? It's just, I don't know, it's just I don't know, it's crazy. And but anyway, basically what I'm trying to get at here is, what is the difference between a shared universe and an expanded universe? Because my definition of a shared universe is that you have all these different movies that are leading into one big conflict, you know? So like with Marvel, I feel like with Marvel's movies, Thanos is at the center, and then you have all these movies like around it that set up the confrontation with Thanos, right? Whereas you have movies like Star Wars, where they seem to be following like one path in their storylines, like with the mainline Star Wars movies, they seem to be following one path, and then all the movies that aren't part of the main storyline for Star Wars are just kind of like to fill in gaps along the way. So like how Rogue One kind of fills the gap between episode 3 and episode 4, right? So I'm trying to figure out like what makes a shared universe, and what makes an expanded universe, You know, what is the difference between the two? So I don't know. In Star Wars, I don't even know if it can even be considered an expanded universe, because they fall into the same trap that Marvel falls into, where it's like they have so many like different plates spinning that correlate into one story. So like, but at least like with Marvel, they kind of like keep it centered on the movies, whereas like their TV shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Daredevil kind of live in their own little world. Like they're in the same universe, but they kind of have their own little things that they're doing. There's not a real crossover that's happening with those properties. I think the only crossover that's really happened between the movies and TV is when Nick Fury showed up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the first season. But other than that, like, I don't think anybody from the movies has shown up in the Netflix shows. You know, they just been kind of off doing their own thing. Whereas like Star Wars, like, just goes above and beyond with their universe, because you have the main Star Wars movies that they're doing, the episodes and stuff, but then they have like the TV show Rebels that kind of fills in some gaps or explains some characters or further explains some things that happens in the movies. They have games that like where their storylines are in the same universe as the movies, where they explain some side stories or some backstories to people or the outcomes of conflicts that have happened in the movies. They got the comics that fill in a lot of backstory for the characters and stuff like that. And it's just kind of this whole situation where I'm watching the movie and somebody pops in, I'm just like, who the fuck is that? And then somebody's like, oh, well, that's the guy from Star Wars Rebels. They explain who he is and blah, blah, blah. You should watch Star Wars Rebels. And I'm just like, I don't want to watch Star Wars Rebels, dude. I want to watch Star Wars, the movies, okay, and not be lost on what the hell is happening, okay? I don't want to go all the way over here and read this comic book just to see, like, why Darth Vader is doing God knows what on this end of the universe. So it's getting kind of crazy. And, I don't know. The whole shared universe thing is cool. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, what Marvel's doing, like, it's great. But I'm starting to get a little tired of movies becoming TV shows now. It's not the same, okay? With movies, you end shit on a cliffhanger, and I gotta wait like 2-3 years before you continue the story from that cliffhanger and see what happens next. Whereas, like, with shows, it's a little less jarring and a little less painful when they do cliffhangers, because I know that next year they're going to address the cliffhanger and go from there. You know, I waiting a year is a lot better than waiting like 2 to 3 years for shit, you know? So, I don't know. It's just, man, it's can't deal, right? There's too many universes. And the other thing is, too, like, going back to the whole too many universes thing, it's like, just stop. Okay, like Kate Gardner said, nobody was asking for. I don't think anybody was asking for a shared universe for Dracula and the Mummy and the Wolfman and stuff like that. I don't think anybody was asking for that. I don't think anybody was asking for a shared universe with King Kong and Godzilla. At the very least, people wanted to see King Kong versus Godzilla and Rodan and Mothra and whatever other fucking monsters they be fighting. I believe people want to see that, but I don't think anybody asked for, like, well, I want the backstory to Godzilla, and then I want the backstory to King Kong, and then I want to see Rodan, I want to see them all come together, and Mechagodzilla comes in and does blah, blah, blah. You know, I don't want to deal with all that, dude. It's just, it's exhausting. Just leave that shit to TV, okay? DC, I will give credit for them doing it, because with them being a direct rival to Marvel, and Marvel having so much success with the shared universe, I have no doubt that people were asking for a shared universe for DC movies. In fact, I've had conversations with people, like DC fans, who were like, dude, like, I really like what Marvel's doing with their movies. I wish DC would do that. And lo and behold, they're doing it. The only problem with DC, though, is that they're doing it wrong. They're rushing through a lot of this shit. You know, they're not taking their time. You know, they're throwing Wonder Woman into a movie that's called Batman vs Superman for some reason, you know? So it's like, they have the right idea, but they're doing it wrong. And I feel like out of all the shit people trying to do share universes, Marvel and DC are the ones that make sense, because their source material for those movies are coming from the background of the comics, which is all about having that shared universe and telling different stories all spread out and shit. But even in the comics, it gets a little like confusing and confusing to follow what's going on and what person is doing at this time and shit like that. So it's just, moral of the story is, stop treating movies like TV shows and treat movies like movies again. Okay, let's just do that. So yeah. But anyway, go to Screen Rant or go to Google and type in "there's too many shared cinematic universe things" or whatever like that, and look for the article by Kate Gardner and go read it, and hit her up on Twitter or something and let her know that she did a good job if you liked it. You know, just, I don't know. That's my 2 cents. Sticking over with Marvel news and staying at Screen Rant for the last bit of news for this show. Tom Holland has said that he would like Tobey Maguire to play Ben Parker in the Spider-Man movies, or just in the Marvel cinematic universe. He's doing his rounds, doing the whole promotion thing for Spider-Man Homecoming. And, somebody asked him, like, who would you like to see play Uncle Ben? And he was like, I'd like to see Tobey Maguire do it, First of all, I kind of see a future for Tom Holland where he directs movies because he loves having, like, his dream cast for people, doesn't he? Yeah, I agree. I would like to see Tobey Maguire play Uncle Ben. And one of the reasons why I would like to see it is because I feel like that'd be a good fit. Tobey Maguire is kind of like Marissa Tomei, where I'm not gonna say they're old, but they're seasoned actors, but they still kind of have that youngish kind of look, So I feel like he could pull off an Uncle Ben next to Marissa Tomei's Aunt May. So I could see that working out on the screen. And another reason I like to see that too is because, and I feel like this is why Tom Holland probably said it, I'd like to see, like, Tobey Maguire officially pass the torch to Tom Holland. Like, that'd be a good look for him. I don't know Tobey Maguire personally, obviously. I don't know how he is as a person. But I have heard stories where that he's not like mean or anything, but I've heard that he is kind of like standoffish when he's kind of like out in public and stuff. Like I heard that he's, not really eager to take pictures with people or do like autographs or some shit like that. Like, I don't know. He kind of like just sees himself as a regular person and not just some big time celebrity. But I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what I've heard. But he did like one of my pictures that I posted on my Instagram once. It was a dog that I had that's no longer with me, God rest his soul. And for Halloween, I had dressed him up as Spider-Man. So I took a picture of him, put it on my Instagram, and I probably put like a caption like Spider Dog or whatever like that. And everybody, like, I was getting all these like likes and stuff, notifications of people liking it. But then one of them was Tobey Maguire, like legit. I want to say legit because I don't know if Instagram like does verified shit or anything, but like I saw a like that said Tobey Maguire likes your picture, and then I like clicked on that name and it went to like Tobey Maguire's Instagram, and it had like it wasn't like just staged pictures of him. It was like legit just pictures of him just hanging out or doing whatever, and just chilling, being a regular person. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, is this really Tobey Maguire? Tobey Maguire liked my picture. Oh, man, he's the greatest. So, Tobey Maguire is A-okay in my book, as far as I'm concerned. But, yeah, I would like to see him play Uncle Ben. That'd be cool to give him a little bit of love. I'd also like to see, like, how he feels about the new Spider-Man movie. Because we know how Kirsten Dunst feels about it, but I like to see how he feels. I don't remember hearing any of his reactions from the Amazing Spider-Man series either. So, yeah. Kind of interested in that. See what he thinks. But yeah, man, Tobey Maguire, that'd be a good choice for Uncle Ben. Whether he'll do it or not, I have no idea. I don't know what he's been doing lately. I think the last thing I've seen him in was it was some weird show called like Babylon something. It was some weird comedic show that he did that was actually pretty cool. But it was something with like Will Ferrell and everything. It was like random actors in it. But I don't know what else he's been doing. If you can't get Tobey Maguire to do it, I would say like Brad Pitt is usually my go-to, because I'm trying to like find people that compliment Marissa Tomei that can like kind of sit next to her when they do like the flashback scenes for Uncle Ben. So like I could see like Brad Pitt playing that part, and it'd be cool to see him like in that small of a role. Either him or my other go-to, George Clooney. You can see George Clooney once again, and then we can kind of like get the idea of how he and Tom Holland are going to be in the upcoming Uncharted movie when George Clooney plays the character Sully. That's not confirmed. That's just a dream of mine. And if it actually ends up happening, you can thank me for it. So, yeah. But, yeah, man, either Tobey Maguire, Brad Pitt, or George Clooney. You choose. All right. Whew. We're finally done with the news. Let's get to some trailers. First up, Black Panther. So I went to go see Spider-Man Homecoming, obviously, and I gotten, lines were a little longer than they should have been at the concession stand, but I got into the theater as the trailers were starting, and the trailer opens up with Andy Serkis's, I forgot that guy's name, is it Kang or Kong or I can't remember what his name is, but it opens up with him like sitting in a chair talking to Martin Freeman's character about like Wakanda and shit. And I don't know why, but for some reason, like when I saw those two like kind of talking to each other, even though he's mentioning Wakanda, I was like, holy shit, is this the trailer for Infinity War? Oh my god, like I know they were finished filming, but I didn't know they had a trailer ready. And then all of a sudden it like breaks into showing like Black Panther and everything, defending the jungles or defending the secret of Wakanda and all that. And I was like, oh shit, it's fucking Black Panther? Like I didn't know they had a trailer ready. So yeah, they ran through that. Man, the movie looks good, man. It looks so good. I do like Black Panther, but like I became a Black Panther fan after Civil War, okay? Because before that, my Black Panther knowledge, I mean, it's still limited, but like it was real limited like before I watched Civil War, because I know Black Panther from the Spider-Man cartoon, the Fox Kids one. And so like I was a kid when I was watching that, and I was excited to see that character pop up, because back then I think like the only black superhero I really knew of was Spawn. Like that was all I had to go off of. I didn't know who Luke Cage was and all this other shit. So like this guy Black Panther pops up in Spider-Man, and I was like, oh cool, like another black superhero, great. Like this is someone else I can be a fan of, right? Yeah, the brothers is coming up in the world. And I just liked them. And from the cartoons, I think like the way they explained his powers was that his power, because like there were Black Panthers before him, that's like it's like his lineage, so it just gets passed down from generation to generation. And I guess every incarnation of the Black Panther like goes into the present Black Panther, so that's why he's got like super strength and agility and speed and shit, because it's like all these people's like spirit or energy like compacted into one person, and that's what gives him like his superpowers. I think that's how they explained his powers in that cartoon. I don't know what they're gonna do in the movies. I assume that they were gonna like make it where they use like a version of the super soldier formula that Captain America had, and they maybe like modified it and gave it to T'Challa. But I think that's his name. I don't know. Like I said, it's very limited knowledge on Black Panther. I figured like they would do that, but they didn't really get into it that much in Civil War. They did kind of hint at the whole like lineage being passed, like his ancestors like passing it down to him, like down the pipeline. So they probably still could go that mystical route. But it looks good, man. I'm really excited. I was actually more excited for the Black Panther movie than I was for the Spider-Man movie, and you all know by now that I'm like the biggest Spider-Man fan in the world. But I was more excited for the Black Panther movie than I was the Spider-Man movie before the Spider-Man had came out, because I was just like, I was so enamored by him in Civil War. He was so cool. He was fucking badass. He was smart as fuck. He didn't get roped into like the whole like bitch slap fest between Iron Man and Captain America and shit. He was just kind of like, hey man, you guys can do whatever the fuck you want. I'm trying to avenge my people here. I'm trying to avenge my father who got killed, my Faja. So I like that about him, and his suit was badass. We're gonna see more of it in this movie. So I'm hoping it's good. If this movie sucks, I'm gonna be pissed the fuck off. Okay, I like the way it looks. I like the soundtrack they were using in the trailer. It reminded me of the Luke Cage trailer, and then I immediately got worried as soon as that happened, because the Luke Cage trailers were really good and got me all hyped up for that show, and that show was boring as fuck, okay? And if that happens to Black Panther, I'm gonna be pissed the fuck off. I'm gonna be like, he looks cool, he's still awesome, but this movie sucked balls, okay? So don't do it, Marvel. Don't fail me, alright? Make this movie work. Make me an even bigger Black Panther fan than I am now, alright? That's an order. So anyway, we're done with that. It's Black Panther. Oh yeah, and it comes out. Oh yeah. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot to see it. Can you believe? So like that was a dope ass trailer. Okay, they showed you some stuff, but they didn't show you a lot of stuff. They showed you just enough to get you hyped for the movie, right? So I'm all excited. I'm like, hell yeah, dude, they're fucking showing this Black Panther trailer. They're about to hit me with this goddamn date. They already said it was coming out in 2018, but now they're about to give me a specific date, right? They're at least gonna give me a 2018, right? I would have been satisfied with just a 2018 date. These motherfuckers show me this goddamn trailer and got the nerve to say some coming soon. You motherfuckers. If it wasn't for Google, I'd be writing a letter right now to Marvel Studios. I'd be like, you motherfuckers, don't you dare get me hyped up again like that. Hit me with some fucking coming soon. Y'all need to send a goddamn fruit basket over to Google right now because they saved you. They saved you from getting cursed out. Okay? Looked it up on Google, and Google says it's coming out February 16th, 2018. One day before Michael Jordan's birthday. Marvel, I swear to God, if you fuck this shit up, we gonna have beef. We gonna have real beef, okay? But anyway, till then, we just gotta wait for, what's the next movie gonna be? Infinity War? Gotta wait for that shit. That's like also next year, so. Oh my God, the wait is real. Struggles, man. So many struggles. Anyway, next trailer is Flatliners. So it's got Ellen Page in it. It's got Diego Luna, who was he was the guy in Rogue One. Still can't remember a lot of the characters' names in that movie. I think his name was Cassian. Yeah, I think it was Cassian. It has to be because that's a really good name. I remember when I heard the name, I was like, it's actually a really good name. But for some reason, I couldn't remember it. But I remember it now. But anyway, he's in it. And Kiefer Sutherland is in it. So when I like the movie looks interesting. I guess it's something about how these scientists or whatever are trying to figure out what happens to you when you die. Like what happens to your spirit or your soul, you know? Like is it just blackness? Do you like float off somewhere? You go and sit in the house and scare people that just move in and have a vase fly across the room or some shit like that. So like they run this experiment where I think they kill themselves, but then they have somebody like resuscitate them like in time so that they're not dead. But in that time that they're dead, they kind of like have outer body experiences or some shit like that. It's something weird. And then it turns into this whole thing about who can stay dead the longest, it was a weird thing, you know? So they're like trying to figure that shit out, but then I guess they do it so much that there starts to end up being consequences to them doing this shit to where do they know if they're dead or not? Did they ever get revived in time or some shit? Have they been dead the whole time? There's this whole crazy thing that happens, and it looks really interesting. It's actually something that I've been thinking about a lot recently as well. It's like, what does happen when you die? So I'm interested to see like what like these filmmakers or this director or whoever like came up with this concept. I want to see like what their theory is on this whole situation, you know? So I feel like it's an interesting premise. When they showed the title of the movie, it felt really familiar to me. And because I was sure that there was already a movie called Flatliners. And it's not unusual nowadays for like these new movies to come out and have the same title as an older movie and it be about something completely different. So I ended up looking that up on Google. And apparently this movie is like a sequel, because there was a movie back in the day called Flatliners, and I guess it was about the same premise as this movie. So I was assuming that it was that this next movie that's getting ready to come out was going to be a remake, but it's not. It's a sequel to the movie, to the older movie. And it's kind of weird that they have the same title. I mean, are we that fucking strapped for titles that we got to use the same title from the previous movie and this movie is a fucking sequel? Like, I don't know, man. Like maybe Google got it wrong. I'm gonna look it up real quick because I forgot to look up when it comes out. But maybe Google just got it wrong and it's not a sequel. But Kiefer Sutherland is in it, so it sounds like a sequel. Or if he just wanted to like pay tribute showing up, I don't know. But yeah. But it looks pretty good. Like I like Ellen Page, because she's in it, and I don't think I've seen her in anything in a hot minute, so it'll be good to see her on the screen again. But yeah, man, Flatliners, and that comes out this year. I just need a date. I need a date, Google. God damn this phone. I got a loaner phone, and it makes me really appreciate the phone that I lost, because I thought that phone was a piece of shit. But this phone is definitely a piece of shit. So, and now it's taking forever to show me the title of this freaking, or not the title, the date for when this movie's coming out. When is it coming out? What is the date? September 29th, 2017. So, pretty soon, actually. So, yeah, Flatliners looks interesting. I'm just gonna go ahead and give you guys a freebie. I mean, it may be a little controversial, but I mean, I feel like you can start a whole like marketing campaign with this thing. So in the trailers, they're like, like I said, there are people who are like intentionally being killed, like not gruesomely. I guess they kind of like just dope them up with morphine or some shit. I don't know what they do, but they end up like slowing their heart rate enough to where they fucking die. And they show like everyone's face when they're laying on the table dead, and they just have like this weird face, like this fucking, and they all have different ones. They need to have some kind of marketing campaign where they just be like, "What's your dead face?" And just have people like take pictures of like the best dead faces they can make and hand it in, and the winner can get like tickets to a advanced screening to the movie. Like that's a freebie for you guys out there. So why don't you look into that? Anyway, be on the lookout for that. Now let us finally get into what we all have been waiting for the past 2 weeks, and that is my spoiler-free discussion on Spider-Man Homecoming. Ladies and gentlemen, the day has come and gone where the Spider-Man movie has come out. Spider-Man Homecoming. It's been a week since it's been out. Obviously, I went to go see it. Anyone who doesn't know by now that I'm a huge Spider-Man fan needs to go back to previous movie Chewsdays and other videos I've done, like bad art and stuff, and you will understand and already know how much of a fan I am of Spider-Man. So you take that with a grain of salt, if you will. I'll spare you the suspense. It's gone on long enough. I thought the movie was good. Okay, I was very, very impressed with what I saw on the screen. Credits started rolling. Thought the movie was good. As time went by and I just kept thinking more and more about it, the more I ended up liking the movie. The more I ended up loving the movie, actually. So, my biggest fear going in was addressed by the time the movie ended. And that fear was Iron Man being in the movie. I was really scared because the last time Iron Man showed up into a movie that had another character's name in it, he ended up like being the focal point of that movie, in my opinion. Okay? So when it was announced that Iron Man was going to be in Spider-Man Homecoming, I was immediately just like, man, I love Iron Man. I love him almost as much as I love Spider-Man. I love Robert Downey Jr., but I was like, dude, if he is in this movie to the point where he just steals the show to where I'm going to walk out and be like, that was a fucking Iron Man movie, it's like I was going to be pissed, okay? I was going to be happy because I always am down to see more Iron Man, but I just got this thing, man, where it's like, if you got a movie and it's called Spider-Man, it needs to be about Spider-Man, okay? Don't have a movie and call it Captain America and then the movie ends up being a fucking Avengers movie, or at the very least an Iron Man movie. All right. And I feel the same way about Thor Ragnarok. The movie's called Thor Ragnarok. Make the movie about Thor, okay? If the Hulk is on that screen as much as Thor is, I'm going to write a letter to Marvel Studios and be like, hey, motherfucker, okay? I went to go see Thor and Hulk Ragnarok, and I thought it was whatever I thought the movie was. I haven't seen it yet. But, long story short, y'all motherfuckers need to stop naming these damn movies after one character when there's more than one character sharing the screen together, all right? But that didn't happen in this movie. And in fact, I loved Iron Man being in the movie. It actually made sense for him to be in the movie. So, for those who don't know, with it being the whole shared universe and shit, the movie pretty much takes place after Civil War. Well, after Spider-Man goes home from Berlin when he was in Civil War. It takes place after that. So remember, like in Civil War, where he was laying on the ground and Tony comes up to him. He's like, "Hey kid, like good job. Hit the showers. We're taking you back home. All right. Your aunt's probably worried about you. Blah blah blah." And he's like, "Oh no, don't take me home. I can still fight." And he's like, "Nah, you're good. Don't worry about it." Right. Movie takes place after that. They give you a little bit of snippets to kind of like, so you're not lost and everything in this whole shared universe, and it picks up from there. And it was one of those things where it made a lot of sense for Iron Man to be in the movie because he's pretty much like keeping an eye on Spider-Man, on Peter Parker, because he's still a kid. And, so he doesn't like hog the movie. He's in it just enough to where when when he's on screen, he makes use of his time and he leaves and he leaves with you wanting more, which is the way you're supposed to do it, right? But he's not in there just like hogging up the entire fucking movie, okay? He jumps in, he says a couple things, does a couple things, and he jumps out. It was great. I enjoyed it. And like I said, it made sense for him to be in there because it was like really weird in Civil War for him to go and get like some 14-year-old kid and be like, "Hey, I'm having beef with an Avenger, Captain America. Come and help me out with it." Like, it's kind of weird to have him do that, right? But he ends up going back and he's like, "Yeah, dude, like, you got potential. I'm gonna keep my eye on you, keep your nose clean, and don't get in any trouble," right? And that was great. I liked it. I liked the way he mentors him. The whole like dynamic between Parker and Stark is just amazing. It's like what they did in Civil War, they did more of in Spider-Man Homecoming. And as you should know that was like my favorite part in Civil War, was that whole interaction between Tony Stark and Peter Parker. And they gave you more of that in Spider-Man Homecoming, which I was very appreciative of. I like the chemistry between those two characters and those two actors. So that was awesome. So anyway, that takes us to Spider-Man. So I like the way he was portrayed in this movie. It took me kind of by surprise, like how they made or how they interpreted his character in this movie. They went back to the grassroots of giving him his whole conflict where he's trying to balance out his personal life and he's trying to balance out his superhero life, which is like the thing that I love about Spider-Man is just how he has to like balance those two worlds. This movie ends up going beyond that, and not only is he trying to like balance his personal life and his superhero life, but he's trying to be like go up the next level with his superhero life, where he wants to be an Avenger. He wants to be like Black Widow in them, where he's off saving the world and closing up portals in the sky and taking on Thanos and shit like that. Like, he wants to do that kind of stuff. So he's got all these different conflicts that he's working with in the movie that I thought was really cool. Another thing that took me by surprise is how amateur they made him. So like in Civil War, he's taking on Captain America, he's taking on Falcon, he's fighting the Winter Soldier and shit, and everybody's kind of like having their ups and downs in that airport scene. But like I felt like Spider-Man really handled himself in that movie, right? So I went into Spider-Man Homecoming thinking there was going to be more of that, where it's like, this dude is on point. You know, his fucking spider sense is going off. People can't even touch him. You know, he's flipping all over the place and shooting webs at people's faces. It's going to be crazy, right? But he's like real clumsy, man. He's like swinging around. And he's breaking shit. He's crashing into fucking dog houses and everything. And, you know, he's blowing up shit in the process accidentally and all that. So, that kind of like took me by surprise. I was like, man, he kind of, you know, he needs a little bit more finesse, doesn't he? I was like, Spider-Man usually ain't this fucking clumsy, at least like the Spider-Man that I grew up watching, right? But then I remembered, I'm like, oh yeah, he is a fucking kid, dude. Like he was doing like, because they established in Civil War that he was Spider-Man already and doing things around New York, but he was doing like simple shit like stopping purse snatchers and, you know, cars hitting little kids walking across the street and everything. Like he did like really small stuff. He wasn't like really taking on super villains and shit like Vulture, you know, like this is like his first like foray into this shit. So it made sense to have him like still in that trainee type stage. And then you got like Stark, who pops up every now and then. He's like, dude, like chill the fuck out. Okay. You know, you're stepping out of bounds here. Like just keep it simple. Stop getting all crazy with shit. So like, that was cool, the way they did that. Tom Holland is great, very charismatic. He reminds me of Tobey Maguire, where it's like they're not like fucking pretty boy and all Mr. Cool like fucking Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker was. Like he is that kind of awkward teenager, like, you know, genius, really standoffish, keeps to himself, you know, keeps like a little small clique of people that he hangs out with. Like it was cool the way he like portrayed all that in the movie. Like, so I really like the way Tom Holland held his own, and he's good physically as well. Like he's doing the flips, he's doing the jumps and everything, he's doing the poses and all that. It's getting real physical. I liked it. He really gave that character life. And like I said, when you infuse that conflict with him still being a high school student and trying to be Spider-Man, he's trying to be an Avenger and stuff like that, it just all melds into this one like perfect form that really worked in the movie for me. So I was very, very impressed with him. And I loved his suits. He had really good Spider-Man suits. He had the suit from Civil War that Stark gave to him, and then he had like the suit that, you know, that he usually ran around in that was made out of rags or whatever, and he's got the little goggles and shit like that. That was cool. I liked it. I really did. Moving on to the villain, you know, because you gotta talk about the villain in the movie. The Vulture, Michael Keaton, Birdman, okay? Forever solidifying himself to play costumed winged characters. I liked Michael Keaton. I really liked his Vulture. I liked his depiction, or I liked their depiction of the Vulture, and I liked the way he executed that character. He too gave his character some life and really fleshed him out. He wasn't like a cookie cutter bad guy, you know. He didn't have like a real corny suit. It was a real conventional suit that he had. So like, and I like the direction that they went in for his character as well, because the Vulture in, well, I'd say the comics. I'm also say the cartoon. I'm mainly say the cartoon, but the cartoon is pretty much based off the comics. But the cartoon, which is pretty much where most of my Spider-Man knowledge comes from, the Vulture, if memory serves me correct, was a scientist, and he stumbled upon like this formula to where he can make himself young again, because he was a old bald scientist, and he was able to like make himself young, and he would use that to kind of like cause crime and shit around New York City and everything. And I think like his motivations for doing it was that he was trying to like fund the whole like formula to support the formula that he made, because obviously that shit's gonna be expensive to keep on producing, right? So like I think that was like his motivations for why he was like a criminal, was so he could fund all that shit. In this movie, they don't go that route. They just make him like a straight up like criminal, you know, just doing like bad guy shit. Like, you know, it comes from like a human side, you know, it makes sense to why he's doing what he's doing. So like you kind of have a little bit of empathy for him, but at the end of the day, it's like you're still doing fucked up shit by, you know, selling weapons and everything like that, and stealing and all that. It's like you're a bad guy, okay? You can't spin this any other way. You're doing bad shit. And I really like the way that he was portrayed, you know. There was a time, I think this was back when Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out, and one of my friends had told me, they were like, man, I really hope that he doesn't fucking have another antagonist where they're like a professor and they ended up being like a mentor to him and shit like that. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, you ever notice that in like most of the Spider-Man movies, like it's all like the main villain is always like somebody that Peter Parker knows personally, and you know, they end up like going head to head because of their different ideologies and their beliefs on shit, and you know, and I was just like, huh. And I had to think about it for a second. I was like, yeah, he's right. I was like, they do that a lot, don't they? So you can imagine how worried I was when they announced that the Vulture was going to be in the movie. And I was just like, oh shit, they're going to fucking do the whole like professor mentor type thing again, you know? But then like, you know, watching the movie and it's like, nope, he's not a professor. He's just like a, you know, blue collar worker who has a badass high tech suit that he flies around in. And he's still shit and fucking fucks up shit, right? So, I thought that was cool how they did that. I was very impressed with it. Which brings me to like the overall movie. I like the overall story of the movie, where it is just about it's about Peter Parker trying to come into his own and trying to like be Spider-Man, you know, like actually like live up to the hero Spider-Man, and the whole like clash between him and Vulture. It isn't like, oh, you know, I'm your fucking professor in your science class, but I also do this on the side to fund my research now. And he's like, oh no, like I'm Spider-Man and we gotta fight each other, and for some reason I'm fucking British. But it wasn't like that. Like they just made it where it was like Peter Parker is Spider-Man and he runs around like saving people around New York City, and fucking Vulture is just a guy who steals shit and sells that stolen shit in New York City, and they kind of just come head to head, where it's like, you know, he's like, hey, you're in my way and you need to get the fuck out of it, and, you know, and Spider-Man is like, well, you're doing bad shit and I need to stop you, and that's it, you know. There isn't like this whole like, oh, you're my fucking professor. So that was, I like the way they did that. That was a breath of fresh air, and I think that was the most like that was the most impressive thing about the movie, was that the story was really simple, but they ended up doing just really big shit with it, you know? Like, so I really liked the way that was done. The only gripes that I had with the movie is that there are certain points in the movie where Spider-Man is CG, like fully CG, which has been done before in previous movies, but like in this one, they were doing it on like parts where I'm just like, why didn't you just get a real actor to play that part? Like, where was Tom Holland like doing midterms or some shit around that time? You know, was he sick? Like, why is his character CG right now? And the reason why I had a problem with it was because the CG was actually like, it wasn't bad. It just felt like, it looked like it wasn't finished. You know, it's almost like they could have spent a little bit more time rendering the effects to make him look a little bit more realistic to fit in with the scene that he was in. And it happens a couple times in the movie, and it kind of irked me a little bit, but like I had a problem with that. The other problem that I had was what was the other one? Oh, there's also some scenes in the movie where like it takes place at night, and it's kind of hard to see what's going on sometimes. There's so much shit that's like flying around and things happening and people flipping and jumping everywhere and lights flashing and explosions happening. And it's at night, and it's like I can see it, but there's times where I kind of lose track of what's going on. And I don't know if that's due to just my eyes getting old, or if they were just doing so much in the scene that it was just hard to follow. But it didn't help that it was at night. And I've been seeing that happen a lot in other movies recently. Like I think like the other recent movie that happened in was Pirates of the Caribbean, where like there were some scenes that were happening at night, and it was kind of hard to see what was going on. And I feel like that's probably like a little shortcut that these directors and effects people are taking, so maybe they don't have to put in as much detail when there's stuff that's happening at night. They can kind of get away with a couple more things. But I don't know, I think there needs to be a little bit more better lighting in these movies, you know, because like when they're doing shit in the dark, it's just like it's kind of hard to see sometimes. But it's just small little gripes, but those are the only gripes that I had, you know. Other than that, I thought the movie was not fantastic. I thought the movie was spectacular. Okay, pun intended. All right, overall, very good movie. I like the whole tone of it. Like this is one of the first Marvel movies I've seen where they actually like got the tone right again. I think it was like Doctor Strange where I was saying like the tonal shifts are kind of like on the dime, you know. It's like 1 minute there's something that's really funny that's happening, and then the next minute there's something that's super serious, and then they cut right next to something else that's super funny, to where it's like the whole serious thing wasn't even that serious anymore, because like you're just playing it off all as a joke. Whereas like this movie has a nice balance where it is funny overall, but there are like some moments in the movie where like it gets pretty dark and it gets really emotional, and it makes you feel it. You know, the score really helps, the actors and their portrayal really helps, the way they carry out the scene, and I thought it was all like just a nice, good balance, you know. And that's what the character of Spider-Man is about for me. It's all about balance, trying to balance out everything, and this movie did that perfectly, I feel. So yeah, like I said, it is funny. It is a very funny movie. There's lots of funny interactions between characters, whether it's Peter Parker by himself or Peter Parker with Iron Man. There's like side characters that have some really funny moments, like Peter Parker's little sidekick Ned that he hangs around with, his best buddy. You know, it's like everybody just kind of has their moments and stuff, and they're all like really believable characters. But it was fantastic. Like the movie was so good that I almost fucking cried. Okay, this is the second movie this year that almost made me cry. And it wasn't because like anything like really sad happened or anything like that. It wasn't anything like that. It was something that happened like in the middle of the movie, and it was just one of those moments that really came over me where I was just like, dude, this is a really good fucking movie, okay? But the fact that it was Spider-Man, it like just hit me a lot more emotionally what was carrying out on the scene. And I think the reason why it happened was because I've had to put up, like, I can't say it enough, dude. I'm a really big Spider-Man fan. No one will ever understand how big of a fan I am of this character, okay? I grew up watching this person or watching this character, like, in the comics, on TV, and in movies. And in the movies department, this character has been getting fucked for a long-ass time, okay? Like, first two movies, fantastic. Everything after that, up to Homecoming, it's like this character has just been getting pulled through the mud, and it got to the point where I was getting so pissed. I was like, dude, why are they fucking up this character? What are they doing, right? So like to see his whole portrayal in Civil War, and you get like that little taste of what you were gonna get in Homecoming, and then to see it all come together in Homecoming and how they were just like knocking out the park scene by scene. Like, I don't know, something just came over me, dude, and my eyes started getting watery, and I was like, oh fuck, dude. I was like, I gotta chill out right now. But it's just, I couldn't help it, man. It had been so long, and I was just so relieved to like for somebody to finally step up since Sam Raimi in the first two movies to actually like portray this character right, and to get and to have everything make sense. Like I was overcome with joy. I just wanted to cry, but I didn't. So I'm a grown ass man. No, I'm not about to cry right now. Leave me the fuck alone. But anyway, all in all, the movie was good. It's definitely worth going to see in theaters. Okay, if you haven't seen that movie already, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Get off your lazy ass. Go see the movie right now. Believe all the hype. Okay, well, not all the hype, but just all the people who were saying like it was a really good movie and shit like that. Believe them. Go see the movie. It was great. It still falls into that whole shared universe thing. So there is like some references and some things that are shown that like go back to other movies previous before it to kind of like set this whole thing up, but for the most part, it's pretty standard shit. I feel like you can go into this movie cold without watching any of the other Marvel movies, and you can understand what the hell is happening, and you can enjoy it for what it is, which is a good Spider-Man movie, and is long overdue. Congratulations, Marvel, for pulling it off. Congratulations, Sony, for pulling your goddamn heads out of your asses and making this joint deal. Now leave Marvel the fuck alone and let them do their thing with Spider-Man, and y'all go off and fuck around with Venom or whatever other characters that you want to fuck around with. Just, yeah. All right. So yeah, that's it. I'll end it with, I look forward to the next Spider-Man movie. I think I said in a previous episode where they were saying that Homecoming 2 was going to start phase 4 of the Marvel universe and shit like that, which means that we're like a good 3-4 years away now, so that fucking sucks, but whatever. Still, I'll patiently wait for the next solo outing for my boy. I'm hoping that Tom Holland has the same genes as Anna Kendrick does, where they're really like 20, 30 something years old, but they look like they're fucking 18 and shit. So hopefully like his genes hold out and he keeps on looking young, because apparently the whole plan for his solo movies is that every movie is going to be another year of him in high school, so it'd be kind of weird when Tom Holland's like 40 years old and he's still playing a high school student. So hopefully he still has his young charming looks. But that's it, man. That's all I got for you this week. Like I said, I'm sorry for the delay. I am bound by the equipment that I have, but I'm working on upgrading it. It's gonna take a little bit of time, but I just need you all to be patient. Like I said, just take it all in while you can, because you never know if there's gonna be another one. I don't even want to say I'll see you next week, because from now until then my computer could explode and it'll be completely useless. So I don't know. Sorry for the setting. I'm back in my cluttered desk again. I'll save like the whole shelf stuff. See that shelf behind me? That was where the computer was for episode 30. I'll save that for like special occasions and shit. It's a lot of work to record stuff standing up there for like 5 hours out of the day. But anyway, that's it, man. That was Movie Chewsday. Now it's just another day. I'm out.
And it was just another day, yeah.
Just another day.
Until I went to the movies, now it's a movie Chewsday.
Just another day.
A movie Chewsday. Until a movie Chewsday.